Excited about getting started, and really not a whole lot to report on since the spring, since the last time I saw you, and that's probably a good thing, right? You look around this landscape of college football, and just all the things that happen throughout the course of an off season, and you can't help but mention yesterday, the tragedy up in northern New Mexico. You look at the Utah football family, the Texas A&M football family, and those two young guys that were killed in that accident. But certainly our prayers go out to them. But it's a good thing. We've not had a lot of things to report since the last time we got together in April. And I think that's a testament to our football team. And normally I never talk about these things because it's what college football is. But I think it's important to mention a couple things so that our players get credit for it before we even get started. Coming from where we were coming from in this program, we just looked, the fall semester, the spring semester, which is the last academic year, we were right at about a 2.7, which is the highest GPA in over 10 years in this football program. It's something we're very proud of. The retention rate, which I would never talk about this, but it had been an issue. We've not lost a player. Not a player brought in here has left. And the third thing, knock on wood, as far as off the field issues, we've really had none of those. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that all can't change when I go down to my office. And I normally don't like to talk about those things. I'm not slapping our coaching staff on the back, but I think our players deserve to get some credit and some recognition for those things. We do have some momentum. We've not had any setbacks, and I don't take that for granted. I do not take that for granted because I check that ESPN.com every day like you guys do, and it's amazing all the things that can happen. You look at our football team, we've had 115 players here really since June 1st. And that's a tremendous responsibility for the coaching staff, and it's a tremendous responsibility for our team with all the different things that they're subject to. They got a chance to go home Friday night. Summer school ended. They all report back today. And I'm always nervous about that. Just guys traveling a great distance to get back. They don't get to go home very often. They take advantage of that. So hopefully everybody makes it back safely. But again, there have been some positives. I understand how fragile that is, how that can change. But things I think are going in the right direction. You look at our roster, I think we can kind of talk about the season, put it in perspective as to what it is. We've got 115 players that were here basically all summer. We can take 105 to training camp. Of that 115 players, I think it's ironic, not ironic's not the right word, but it's certainly different. Of those 115 players, 40% of our players, which is 46 players, are second-year players in this program. Now, keep in mind, some of those second-year players, Teron Briggs, Saquon Edwards, Quentin McCown, David Orvick, Rashad Rainey, are listed as juniors or seniors. But the reality is we have 46 players that are second-year players in this program. And then you add 34 first-year players. 80 of our 115 are first or second-year players in the program. And again, with the first-year players, Brett Bowers, David Guthrie, Reno Henderson, Clayton Mitchum, they're going to be listed as either sophomores or juniors. But my point is 40% of our team is second-year players, and about 30% of our team are first-year players. So you're looking at 80 of the 115 are first or second-year players. And the point I'm making, how quickly we can win is how quickly we can find out what these second-year players really are. I'm putting Cole Gauchi in that group. We say we have to throw the football better to win. Every receiver, Marquise Bundy, Carlos Wiggins, Ridge Jones, Second-year players, we're not sure yet what they are. You look in the secondary. Every player that will play in the secondary will be a new player. Every single player. Saquon Edwards is a guy we moved to corner. Cranston Jones, Rashad Vershad Jackson, Ryan Santos, David Anaya. I could go on and on. So the point is, I don't know the research on this. I would imagine we're the youngest football team in the country. That 70% of your team is first and second year players is an unbelievable number to me. And with that said, we're going to be at 79 on scholarship. I would imagine that's the lowest number of scholarship players in the country. I don't see that as big an issue as it was a year ago. Even though we only have 79 on scholarship, you could have 85. I feel pretty darn good about that 105. We've been very, very fortunate. The walk-ons in this program have supplemented this program as much as any in college football. We have tonight, we have 3 walk-ons playing in the New Mexico All-Star game. Buck Walden, Devin Bennett, and Greg Wortman, 3 new walk-ons that are coming into our program that have been here all summer, are playing tonight. So certainly the walk-on program, certainly the retention of the players, what Ben Hilgard's done in the off-season with them. We've got the roster built up, but there's a lot of unknowns because we are so young. Quite honestly, if you, and you guys do this, if you look at it on paper, there's no reason to think on paper that we would be better. There's no reason. If you just look at, 3 players returning on defense that even played, 22 or 23 seniors that graduated, all new receivers, all new defensive backs. So on paper, there's no reason to think we would be better, but I'll be extremely disappointed if we're not better. Maybe we get blinded a little bit because we're right in the middle of the process and we see how guys do things the way you're supposed to do things now. What major college football is supposed to be is how they act. So internally, the process is so much better and something we're really proud of, and I credit these players for. But maybe you get blinded thinking you're going to be a little better than you are because there's no way to say how we match up to those other teams coming in because we are going to be so young. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. We're young. My goal is that our youth can be an advantage for us, not a disadvantage. I joke with these guys about some youthful exuberance. We have that. We've got some feisty guys. We have more competition at positions. We have better depth. Hopefully our youth can be an advantage, but it can be a disadvantage because what happens when these guys get hit in the mouth? What happens when you're a second-year player in this program and maybe a first-year player moves ahead of you on the depth chart? What's going to happen when it gets hard? That's the unknown. But, standing here July 31st, practice starting tomorrow, I'm excited. I'm excited. I look out at this stadium. I don't take for granted what that new turf did for this program. And I don't take for granted what that new scoreboard's going to do for our fans and for the overall look of our football program. There's been a lot of good things put into this program. We have no excuses moving forward. I think maybe the good analogy to say is, and actually Ben Hilgard told me this, and see if this makes sense to you. It's like when you look at the Boston Marathon or one of these 10Ks, and the starting line's here, and you got all those guys lined up behind them. And it takes so long for those ones in the back even to get to the starting point, running that marathon. That's kind of what we've been. We've done a lot of work, just to get to the point where we can start this race. And I feel like right now we've got a chance to get started. And it's exciting. There's been a lot of work put into it. I appreciate these players buying in. And let's go see. Let's go see how we match up with some other people